This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm the judge, jury, and motherfucking executioner.
Judge Dredd over here.
So don't screw it up.
So today is our second FaceOff Friday, and we have our judge, Adam Koralik.
What's up?
As he stated before, the Batman we all wish we had in video games.
No, I'm the lame Batman. Remember?
I know. I was making it sound better.
Batman.
All right. So today's topic. You can present it if you want, or you want me to.
Me?
Yeah, if you want. You're the judge.
I don't know. This is your show.
Okay. Will the Intellivision Amico find success? So before we each tell you what we're going to be defending on this, you need to pick who's going to go first.
I will, but I also need to state a little bit of a disclaimer here. The man you're seeing there is Tommy Tallarico. He's the guy behind this whole project. He actually reached out to me specifically to help him make a video with this. I have not done that because he wanted to just do like an interview, but I was like, I would be willing to go check out the console, but with the current situation of no one being able to go anywhere, hasn't happened. But I just want to make sure that is fully disclosed.
That's fair. I'm glad you disclosed that.
Yep.
All right. So who's gonna go first?
I'm feeling Will on this one because he looks very quiet and reserved, and I think he's just gonna pop out an explosion.
Exactly.
But do you want to explain the overruling and things like that, or should I do that?
Yeah, you've invented this new portion.
Okay,
so just tell us.
Yeah. Because I'm a terrible guest, I've decided to come in and change all the rules just for me. And one of them is that I'm hijacking their show I guess you've done this once, but now we're going to make it much worse. We're going to introduce the idea that much like you see on TV when people are in courtrooms, obviously what it's based on, one of them can say something during their speech, and the other person can be like, objection, and quick counterpoint, and I can either say sustained or I can say overruled. And so if it's sustained, then it's a valid point, and you can no longer use that as your testimony. And if it's overruled, shut the fuck up.
I like it.
All right. So you picked Will to go first. Will, you're going to tell him exactly what your argument is on this.
All right. So the prompt is, will it find success? I'm going to say no. I think that the market is already oversaturated with consoles.
Hey, Will, you didn't read the prompt.
What?
Each participant will address the prompt with their answer. No arguments will be made. So I'm going to say that I'm going to be defending the Intellivision Amico.
Well,
now you get to go. Now you get to go. That was my objection. You were not following the rules. Now you get to jump in and tell everybody. Now you get to tell everybody
not sustained.
You're not the judge.
I find myself in contempt. All right.
Bailiff, arrest this man.
Anyway, so I think the market. Don't you dare take me out of the screen.
Go ahead.
All right, so I think that the thing is, I really like Tommy, and I really like this very passionate video that I feel like he put out on this, and I've read up on this Amiko, Intellivision Amico, and I like the concept. The concept's really cool about how bringing families together and trying to have more of a couch co-op experience with some more retro style games. However, what's to say you can't just do it on your Switch, or just have a compilation on the Xbox? It's gonna be a lot cheaper just to buy that game versus buying an entire new console, having to set it up. And I mean, how many people actually remember the original Intellivision that are going to want to buy that for nostalgia purposes? I don't think that market is very large. And then again, the thing is, although I'm arguing against this, I like the concept. I want more couch co-op games. But I think it would have been better to have this be like an app, or have games where it encourages couch co-op versus an entire new console. I just don't think that in today's market there's room for another one, especially one that's sort of building off of nostalgia that not everyone necessarily has. It's not like a Nintendo product. So I think that's what it is. I don't think it's going to be able to build off the nostalgia part. I think that people are already looking forward to this next generation of the PS5, Xbox Series X, and this console is going to get lost in that mix.
Is that your final part?
Yeah, I didn't have a whole lot to say because I think those main points are what's going to cloud over this console launch.
All right. As I understand it, I'm entitled to ask you one follow-up question.
Yes, you can.
And you said something that definitely, in my opinion, requires an answer.
Okay.
Do you actually, because this never occurred to me until you said this, you see this as attempting to compete with the Xbox Series X and PS5?
No, so I think it's competing for people's money.
Well,
But
everything.
as far as
So
it's
is
obvious,
Taco Bell. But...
yeah, well, I mean, it's still within the same space. I obviously it's not competing where it's not going to have the newest COD or something like that. And just going like watching or seeing the games list and looking at the promo videos and stuff, it's obvious that they're not going for the greatest graphics or anything like that. This is very much smaller scope games and a lot of some of it's like 20% of re-releases from the original console, and a lot of 2D or 2.5D games. So no, it's not like directly competing. However, if you could just get like compilation of those games versus buying an entire new console is what I'm saying. That's where it's sort of competing. Okay. So I don't think that necessarily there's an argument saying that this is a console you'd buy in addition to the PS5. I think someone's going to be like, well, I only have so much money, I'm just going to get the PS5.
Do you feel like you've had your question adequately answered, Adam?
Yes. I mean, since I'm not allowed to follow up, yes.
If you have a second question...
No, I don't want to. I want to play strictly by the rules. It is
okay. All right. Even though he's already changed the rules. Even though he's already changed the rules.
I changed them before we started. I didn't change during the game. Right. That's cheating.
That's fair. Yeah, okay, fair. All right, so...
I'm right. I'm a fair-ass judge.
Okay. Here's my take on this. All right. So I think that this system can be successful, and I'll tell you how. This system can be successful with a very hard-driven promotional campaign where they market the crap out of it. They get it in the hands of a lot of reviewers. They get it in the hands of the right reviewers, because there's a lot of reviewers that would not be the right person for this. But if they got to drive it with the marketing campaign. Second part of this, they got to have good games on launch that promote what they're looking for. They got to get games that are on this console, ready to go for families to play together. The nostalgic gamer who's like 40 with kids that are between 10 and 20 years old, even 5 if they have the right games, 5 to 20 years old, I don't know. That could be a Minecraft machine, obviously, but if you can get the right kind of old school games on here that market to the nostalgia of the older generation and the younger kids 5 to 20 years old, that they can all play together, and it appeals to them, and they get them all playing it. Word of mouth campaign drives it. The marketing online drives it. You get people playing it on Twitch, on Mixer, on YouTube, showing off this console, and it starts to appeal to people. They're like, this is this weird niche console that we really like and we really want to play because it is different. It's not the same as the Xbox Series X. It's not the same as the PS5. It's not even the same as the Switch, right? Comes with these two really interesting looking controllers that I've never seen anything similar to other than the original Intellivision, and it's like a throwback to that. So that might be a little bit of a detriment to the console just because it's so different of a controller versus the rest of the controller market, but I'm not going to degrade on that. I actually think it's really neat, and I love the wireless aspect of it, and the fact that you can pair mobile phones to this console means you don't have to buy more controllers for it necessarily, but people can still get out on the action, right? So if you have 2 kids, they each can use an Intellivision controller, the Amiko controller, and then you and your wife, or you and your friend, or you and your friend's friend can hop on your phones and play with the kids without having to buy additional controllers. That, and I think there's some kind of live service aspect they've been marketing to this, which would be really cool to have like some kind of a service that continues to push games to the system. Given all of these factors, the success of this console would be entirely dependent on good marketing, word of mouth campaign, and then the games. I don't think this is ever going to...
Can I make an objection? A quick one?
You have to say it, and then I have to decide if what you're saying.
I object.
Okay.
All right. So, good marketing campaign and good games at launch is what determines the success of every video game console. That's all I'm going to say. So, I think that's kind of a no-duh.
I'm gonna say sustained on that one.
Okay.
No. You know what? No, I'm not. Overrule that fucking shit. Because the Nintendo Wii was terrible, and it was a huge success.
All right, so I do think that the 3 facets to this are unique games, good unique games. That's what I'm saying when I say that, because these are not games that you're seeing on the Switch. These are not games you're seeing on the PS5. These are not games you're seeing on the Xbox Series X, or the Xbox One, or the PS4, or the Wii U, which is basically dead. These are games that you saw in older generations with like updated versions of them, and they're getting some exclusives, which is good. Exclusives drive sales a lot of times. I think right now what we're seeing is a rebirth of couch co-op in a system like this with older classic games, revamped classic games and new games. And I think that if you can get the appeal that we are the different console, we are essentially the fourth peg of this massive console industry. We're the new guys on the street with brand new stuff that's you've never seen before, at least not in the last decade. I think you can get a foothold in the console market, and that's my basis for my argument, is they need to be different enough and appeal well enough, and I think they'll be successful.
Okay, so my question to you is, do you believe everything you just said?
I think it's the most interesting console coming out this generation. My kids are, age 1 and 3. They're young kids. This is something they could actually pick up and play. I've handed the Switch to my 3-year-old. I've handed an Xbox controller to my 3-year-old. They can't play Minecraft. He's too young for that. But I would love to sit on the couch and play a game with him. This might be the answer to that question I'm asking.
So is this where I give my dissertation?
We each get to give a closing argument.
Oh,
right.
Cool. I'm screwing up.
So my closing argument for this is, this is the console that I could probably actually buy and play with my 3-year-old. If they market it right, maybe I'll end up picking one of these up, and if they hit all 3 of my facets, boom. Marketing good games, and I think they might have to lower that launch price, but if you get enough grassroots campaigning, enough of the right people playing this and showing it off, you got this in the bag.
Yeah, so I guess my argument is I don't think it's going to be that successful past like a niche audience, because the original version of this was before me. I don't have kids to share this with. All the games I really play on are on modern consoles, and I think for kids today, they're gonna look at this and be like, "What is this? LOL." You can't play Fortnite on this. So I think the thing is, to Chris's argument though, it is a very interesting console, but it might be almost too interesting that it actually goes into obscurity because of just how different it actually is. Because it's not going for those big blockbuster games, and the industry has been going that way for so long now that I don't know if it's just saying like, well, actually this is a cool console that's going to have these much smaller games, more intimate experiences, and that's all it's going to be. I don't know if the market's ready for that, just because people have been bred to think that you have to get the best quality graphics, like ridiculously large games, for so long now that it might be difficult to snap back. So I don't think it's going to be that successful. No.
So as I understand it, my job is to rule in favor of one of you or dismantle both.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll throw it out.
So this is difficult for me because I feel that Chris made a far superior argument as far as like breaking down his points and saying how he what he thought. But at the same time, Will, I have to say I agree with you. Because at the end of it, I think that this platform is ambitious in a lot of things it's going to do. I think it is also well intended, but I feel that unless its aims are quite frankly small, like it's only expecting or wanting to sell 10,000 units, unless it's just intended to be a small item, then I think that this will be unfortunately a failure of sales. Because who outside of the retro gaming community is not only aware of this, but is talking about it and wants to buy it? Is there anyone?
Can I throw an objection in there?
I'm pretty sure that I'm the judge in this case.
I'm just curious.
No, do you ever hear a lawyer be like, "No, that's not really my final statement"?
You're right. Maybe I'll throw it out there when you're done.
Yeah, by all means. I guess if we're just going by these strict rules, but hold on to your point for the sentencing.
Yep.
But yeah, all I'm saying is I don't think, I think that this has has good intentions, and I think that it's aimed at the idea of, this might be oversimplistic, but the idea of, hey, nostalgia sells. People like Nintendo classics, they like Sega classics, they even like Atari classics in concept. Hey, we own the name Intellivision. Let's do that one. It's not the same pull. Now, granted, this isn't just a little clone console. It is clearly doing a unique thing, and that is interesting. But at the same time, does that have any real market viability, or are we looking at the next Casio Loopy here? No, seriously.
It's not printing stickers, at least.
Yeah, but the Casio, but that was something exclusively unique to the Casio Loopy, a well-intentioned console for kids, as you keep pointing out, is like the thing that it is best at, and unique. But ultimately, who other than me bought one? Nobody. So I feel that at the end of the day, Will is correct, but I feel like you argued your points more passionately, if that's worth pity points.
So, Judge, you just screwed me over. No, I think
you're gonna die.
You can't handle the truth.
The flip screen just catches fire.
I'll get you off in prison.
So the last thing, I just want to throw it out there. Will you win? But what I want to say is,
but I'm not gonna let you have it. Go on.
I just want to throw this out there to anybody that's interested. I actually think that right now there's a counterculture to microtransactions. And if this console launches with no microtransactions and a lot of family-friendly games, this might be a breath of fresh air for the industry. In that, if you can get enough people talking about it, there may be a market for this. And you're right, it might not be 30, 50, 100 million units, but I would consider this successful if they hit 1 million.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm probably gonna buy this.
That's the key, though. What is their definition of success? Like I said, if your definition of success is, dude, we sold 10,000. Okay, I believe that. But if they're like, dude, this is going to get right up Microsoft's ass. It's like, no, it's not. So that's the part we don't know. Only Tommy Tallarico and
what if it did
around him know that. I mean, stupider shit has happened. But like the Wii was a hit. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think this personally will ultimately be a success, despite it being obviously the most well-intended of any of these like strange Indiegogo Kickstarter type of consoles, like the online Atari VCS, the ill-fated Coleco Chameleon, like I guess you could say the Ouya, all that stuff. None of it pans out. This one might be trying the hardest, but that might also be because it learned a little bit from the previous, and because it has the best technology to work with. Hence, the games at least look acceptable, but they look, more like. And I'm not knocking it. Video. I love retro gaming, but it does look like a product from like maybe 2002, and that's not a bad thing necessarily, but it does. If, as Will points out, like, is this what kids want? I guarantee you, kids don't have nostalgia for Intellivision.
No, they don't.
Like, I mean, I'm 33 years old. I am hardcore into retro gaming content. I own 3 Intellivisions. That is not driving me to own this. That's just like, okay, that name is on it. But fun fact, Intellivision wasn't the name of the company. It was the name of the product.
Yeah.
Mattel was the company.
That's fair.
So, I don't know. I side with Will on this, but yeah, you tried big. Let's just say that you tried.
Thanks. I knew I could upsell it, but
yeah.
All right.
Is there a price point for this thing yet?
I think it's $250.
$250, the price of a Switch?
I think so.
Yeah.
Let's look it up real quick. Now that I'm curious.
That was actually the number I had in my head too. So.
Yeah, again, that is. I have to say all of this with that huge asterisk, which is we do not know what their goals are as far as number of units. Yeah, so there you go.
And they said
if we knew the number of units defining it as a success, okay, that could be different, but we don't know that.
Comes with the 2 controllers, 6 installed games, and all of this. That was the other thing. I totally forgot to make this point. No game on this system will cost more than $10.
cool.
Totally
I mean, it's
forgot about
cool,
that.
but it's also like that's the same price for the similar games on the other systems.
Yeah, but they're not going to
not-
have any $60 games on this console. Like it was meant
No.
for like gaming on a budget too. On top of the fact that although gaming on a budget doesn't mean you're going to spend $250 up front. So who knows?
Yeah. It's not to say that this won't be. I want to make this very clear. It's not to say that this product might not be good. I'm not saying that. It might actually be awesome.
Yeah.
But the question is simply, will this be a financial success? Yes or no?
That's
and
true.
in my opinion, the answer is no. It may. I mean, back before when you made that objection, some of the best, most successful consoles in history had terrible game launches, and then some of the best consoles in history had great game launches but flopped early. Like the Dreamcast had an awesome launch,
that's true.
and it flopped. PlayStation 2 and Wii, two of the most successful consoles of all time. You go back and really look at their launches sucked as far as game library options. They got better, but like, you know, that's not necessarily an indicator of what the thing's ultimately going to perform like. I feel like this is probably a one and done when it comes out, and then ends up being an odd novelty where a few people own it, like an Ouya.
Apple Pippin.
No, that barely got released.
I was joking.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That much we can say. This will sell more units than the Apple Pippin. I'll give it that.
All right. There you go. Success. I win, Will. No, I'm just kidding. Will's the winner.
I'm not a very good judge. I just try to bring the defendant and the plaintiff together.
Well, again, and the thing is, like, I think Chris and I are both actually really interested in this thing.
I am.
I don't think it'll find financial success. So.
Will's like, I'm gonna pick it up when it's $50 2 years later.
Exactly.
Anyways, as always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I am the bad judge.
He's Badum instead of Adam. No.
There you go. That's like a me joke right there.
Adam, we really appreciate you coming on, just like you did
Yeah,
last
thank you.
time. Seriously,
Yeah, no problem.
love having you on here. Love having the discussion. Hopefully, you'll be seeing 110,000 subscribers, you know, in the near future.
That might happen tomorrow.
Yay! As always, I'm Chris, and I already did this.
Yes, you
You
did.
did.
So thank you, Adam. Go subscribe. youtube.com/ADAMKORALIK.
You spelled it right.
It's on my screen right here, to be fair.
Well, that's cheating. You could have taken the point. I mean, I know I see it too, but come on.
And I think Adam should sign this one off, and I'll let
Yes,
Will
definitely.
do the outro.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I mean, you putting up with me mostly is really the problem here. But yeah, thank you for doing. If you got through this, you got through listening to me, you should still subscribe to them. Stay subscribed to them. Don't leave because I was on the channel. You can say in the comments if you don't want me to come back, and I give you guys all the power. But thank you, regardless, both of you guys for having me on and ruining your channel.
All right, Will. What do I usually say?
Yeah, we'll see you on the next CHRILLCAST. Usually you only say the first
Yeah,
part.
but Adam was gonna say the CHRILLCAST.
Oh, how did
didn't
you
know
know that?
That's what I was trying to say. Will you say we will
Objection.
see you, and then Adam says on the next CHRILLCAST. I'm sorry.
You
I
didn't
should have
say
told
that.
you that right away. Go ahead, Will.
And I'll see you
On the next CHRILLCAST?
Yes.